folks, water prohibition orders are now in effect across 7 parishes amid worsening drought conditions. Mr. Delano Williams is a corporate public relations manager at the National Water Commission, and he's with us now to explain what the order means and residents and businesses and why water conservation is critical at this time. I think most of us know the answer to that question.
Yes.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you
here.
for having me. Morning to your viewers.
Yeah. I know what the word means, but in your case, what does prohibition mean?
So basically what it means in layman terms is that we have basically said to our customers and to the nation there are some activities where the use of water from the NWC system is concerned that are now deemed as unlawful.
Unlawful?
Yes.
Which means you can be fined, locked up?
You can be fined, and you can also, if you fail to pay the fine, you can be locked up for a jail term.
What are you telling us not to do?
So we're saying to you the non-essential things such as watering lawns, filling of pools, washing your car with a hose, anything like washing down pavements. So anything that does not require, almost like we're saying, use water for basic needs, basic survival needs, washing, cooking, bathing, and so on. Anything outside of essential, and we need to conserve water. So the prohibition notice, in effect, is saying conservation becomes now the #1 priority because we need to save anything that we can for tomorrow's use.
And the prohibition has gone into effect in which parishes, and why not all the parishes?
So first reason is we monitor, so let me give you the parishes first. So St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, wrap around to St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew, St. Catherine. We're monitoring, so those consist of the parishes that we're seeing the worst case of decline with water sources. We're monitoring approximately 150 systems that year to year, maybe for the last 10 years, they show signs of decline. Reason being they are called river sources or surface sources. So once it gets so hot, you find that the river dry up, as they call it. On the eastern side, we have more of those systems. So we're seeing that decline. It's not to say that we don't have systems on the west that we are monitoring. They are just not at a point yet where prohibition is necessary.
So does that mean the other 7 parishes are actually getting rain?
It means they're getting some rain, or they're not yet at a point where a drought or a decline warrants a prohibition. Conservation is necessary. So for instance, the Met Office in their report on the water resources would have shared yesterday that they're also seeing some drying and rising heat in like Manchester and St. Elizabeth. Those are not necessarily systems that we have now impacted by the drought. But what it means is that, for instance, farmers and households are now going to demand more water from the NWC because they don't normally have rainfall now, or the rivers around them are drying up.
As an island surrounded by water, and since we have not figured out yet how to get the water on land sustainably, yes, so we don't have this constant concern,
yes,
is there any possibilities of these parishes that have been able to access, great flow of water to support the other parishes that are, on the decline with the amount of water that they can actually have?
To some extent, yes, in 2 ways. So for instance, right now we are able to transfer water from St. Catherine, even though it's also on prohibition, into Kingston. So in the wetter months, we transfer approximately 3 million. As at now, we're transferring close to 7 million. And then we purchase water from a private developer who, to offset what St. Catherine needs. For the other parishes further west, we may have to, for instance, since they have adequate pipe supply, we may have to transfer our trucking resources into the city to enhance and augment what is needed, because trucking now becomes a necessity where the pipe supply, as you know, we are currently on 12-hour schedules in Kingston. It means that some places, for instance, off Manningsville Road, near Waterloo Avenue and so on, do not always have good pressures, and sometimes the regulations may have a disruption. You now have to truck. We're looking ahead where September is coming, and that means, for instance, schools are reopening. So the plan is we have to mobilize our trucking resources, hence the prohibition also becomes a greater necessity, because we have to understand that in a confined space with several hundred students, they absolutely need water. And so that's why we're pressing that if you don't need to be washing a car and you can recycle water from your household activities, then do that, because we're going to need every drop.
Yep. Well, Del, I am so much older than you, but then I've been hearing about this every single year from me almost born.
Yes.
Do we have enough of what people call catchment areas, reservoirs, and are we improving in that area? Because sometimes I will see hours and hours of rain.
Yes.
And then you still have a lock off because we didn't, I don't know if we never catch it, but do we have enough of those areas?
So the education is going on, and I like the word you use in terms of improving. So I think as a company, the NWC, and also in terms of our governance, there is an admission that we need more investment, but that is happening now. The truth is we are probably a year out from where we would like to be for Kingston and St. Andrew, hence the discussion now. The Rio Cobre project, we call it the Rio Cobre content, it's now at approximately 50%. It is expected to deliver, when completed by next May, 15 million gallons of water. Now, right now, our shortfall is approximately 9 million. So that would cover it. A few years ago, when we had the last prohibition, that was 2023, our deficit, or meaning our shortfall, was close to 12 million between St. Catherine and Kingston. So the plant at Rio Cobre is intended to cover that, but also have some buffer for whatever else. For instance, what we're seeing now with El Nino, because the truth is we've gotten to 30 plus, which is what 30%, which is what we are now at the Hermitage. 50 plus is what we're now at Mona. The challenge we're having, hence the prohibition, is that we can't, the forecast does not predict that rain will come in the usual seasons, meaning September or early October. The forecast now says we may extend beyond that in terms of little or no rainfall, which may not be enough to take us back to appreciable levels. So the restrictions or the regulations may continue, if not maybe even tighten a little bit more as it becomes necessary.
Yeah. How do you determine where you actually lock off?
Yes.
You know, and because you have some persons who will say, when the water is back on, I'm not at home. Yeah.
Right. So we're practically all of Kingston and St. Andrew is now on the regulation. We are served by three main systems: the Rio Cobre coming in along the Mandela, the Constant Spring coming down from Manor Park into Halfway Tree, and the Mona system running on Old Hope Road going out too. So all of those areas. Now, what we use to determine is just the access of water. We do not have 24-hour supply now. We will have it in a few, which is why I said improvement in terms of a few years. So these projects are coming, but right now, today, we have a shortfall because of the drought. And so we are basically locking down for several hours per day to rebuild storage. Because what is happening is that, as I quickly rush, is that the demand from the city, households, businesses, is greater than what we are seeing flowing in.
I want to ask another question quickly.
Sure.
The water that comes through the faucet right now, can I
Yes.
consume it, or do you suggest I boil it or some kind of thing before I consume it?
You can consume it as
Okay.
normal. And so we continue to treat, we continue to test. Even in dry spells or heavy rain spells, we are actually heavier and more vigilant on the monitoring of water quality. If ever there becomes a need, such as perhaps after a storm system or so, we'd send out a boiled water.
So that brown water that comes through the faucet sometimes after a lock-off period?
Right. So what we find is that in some places, flushing is necessary. That's really from the inside of the pipes, because some of the pipes are aged over time. So we generally flush. You may alert us. You may let it run off just because, you know, you just run it off for a few months, but you alert, a few minutes, but you alert us so we can come and we do flushing
Got
for
it.
you.
Okay.
Thanks, Del. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Corporate Public Relations Manager at the NWC, Mr. Delano Williams. We're going to have a chat with Kevin Downswell when we come back. Stay with us, please.